Anne's encounter with Kong involves ropes that bind her wrists, but Kong easily snaps them, which seems unrealistic given the size of the ropes and the potential harm to her arms. The film inaccurately depicts dinosaurs abandoning large carcasses to chase smaller prey, a behavior unlikely for predators expending energy unnecessarily. Kong's rough handling of Anne, shaking and throwing her, would realistically cause severe injuries like a broken neck or spine. Denham's mention of size 4 clothing is anachronistic, as commercial sizing standards began in 1957 and started at size 8. After the screening of Carl's movie, he says, the script has been rewritten, with his left hand up by his waist. However, in the next cut, his hand is hanging down. Using a submachine gun to shoot bugs off someone's back without causing harm is portrayed unrealistically. Denham incorrectly states that 17 crew members died on Skull Island, whereas the actual count is 27.
In which 17 of our party suffered horrible deaths.
The Empire State Building's elevators are misrepresented. No direct elevator connects street level to the top, and the top floor is officially 102, not 101. Denham's camera uses a modern tri-pack color negative, clearly inconsistent with 1930s black and white film technology. Driscoll uses a self-service elevator during the Empire State Building's climax scene. However, in the 1930s, the building still employed elevator operators. Despite enduring multiple dangerous situations, Anne remarkably ends up with minimal injuries in the film. Her dress gets dirty, but her body remains mostly unscathed. Given the cold weather depicted, Anne climbing the Empire State Building in a sleeveless dress seems implausible. She would likely have succumbed to hypothermia quickly.
Dead slow ahead both, Mr. Ace.
The captain orders dead slow ahead both, implying 2 engines. Yet, shots of the ship show a single central propeller wash, contradicting the dialogue. The sun appears unnaturally large, about 10 times its normal size, during the Empire State Building scene. Anne's back is muddy after sliding down a slope, but when she stands, it is inexplicably clean. At the film's start, a bridge is shown with cars crossing. A chimney's animated smoke is frozen on one side, but moves correctly on the other. During Kong's rampage in New York, he slams his fists on a trolley car roof without causing any damage. Engelhorn's instruction to check the ship's position using the stars was unnecessary, as it was the only viable method in 1933. The Empire State Building's floodlighting, seen in the film, did not exist in the 1930s, as it was introduced for the 1964 World's Fair. The Venture's collision with rocks on both sides would realistically cause the ship to sink rather than remain afloat. Anne struggles to stand on a greased platform during her sacrifice, but Jack has no difficulty stopping on the same platform. Hayes cocks his semi-automatic pistol unnecessarily after firing a shot, as the weapon does not require manual cocking. To save animation costs, most cars in the New York City scenes are Model A Fords. The soldiers use M1 Garand rifles, which were adopted in 1936. They should have been using M1903 rifles. During a 360-degree boat shot, the smoke plume remains unchanged, defying perspective. Engelhorn overlooks Carl Denham's arrest warrant as Denham is seen in New York instead of being in prison. Jack Driscoll uses a yellow cab with a 1932 license plate in a film set in 1933, indicating an outdated registration. During the dinosaur chase, characters survive situations that defy physics, like floating on collapsed terrain. Anne juggles rocks on the cliff, but the scene reveals digital effects. Her hand movements do not align with the rocks, especially when she leans back. In the film's climax, people flee the theater into Times Square, but their lack of footprints in the snow reveals that snow was digitally added. Carl falls during the Brontosaurus chase, but inexplicably avoids being crushed. Despite their close proximity, the Brontosaurus seem to reset their position during the scene. Anne, soaking wet while led through the natives, appears completely dry upon reaching the top of the wall. Anne refuses to perform tricks for Kong, who angrily punches the ground twice. This force should have made her lose her balance and fall due to the vibrations caused by Kong's massive hands.
It's been rewritten. Life.
Carl Denham claims Skull Island was never seen by humans. However, the map's creator likely saw or discovered it. Additionally, the island is inhabited, so humans clearly saw it before. When Carl Denham steps out of the taxi, it is bright outside. Moments later, as he approaches the theater and sees Anne, it is suddenly dark. When Carl offers Nestle chocolate to the native girl, the wrapping changes between shots as he holds it out. When Kong falls off the Empire State Building, the ladder near Anne and Kong's chin disappears in a rotating shot, but reappears when Jack climbs it. Driscoll steps into camel manure below decks, but in the next shot, the floor is clean with no manure visible. After the Brachiosaurus scene, Bruce Baxter's rope on his shoulder disappears during his conversation with Jack Driscoll. When Carl stands beside Kong's unconscious body saying, "His name will be in lights on Broadway," notice the Venture in the background. Despite rough waves, it doesn't move, suggesting it's either green screened or a matte painting. When the main characters arrive on the island and are attacked by natives, one attempts to decapitate Carl. Englehorn saves him by shooting the native 3 times, but Carl shows no injuries despite the bullets. Anne's hair is soaked after fighting the V-Rexes, but when Kong defeats the last one and lifts her, her hair is dry. This happens again after she and Jack fall into the river, and her hair remains dry in subsequent shots. Kong stops a car, sees Anne walking down the street, but there's no chaos, which is unusual in such situations. As Kong and Anne exhale in the freezing New York air, many shots fail to show their breath frosting up, even though it should in such cold conditions.